In today's video, we will having a topic of the macroeconomics, and it's a very important topic, that is the classical theory of the production and employment. As we know, in 1976, Adam Smith wrote a book, that is Wealth of Nation, and from that book, the economic become a itself subject. Before this, the economics was not a separate subject, it was the part of the political science. But after this book, Wealth of Nation, which is written in 1776 by Adam Smith, the economics got its different image, individual image we can say. So we will say that Adam Smith is the father of economics. After this book, up to the 100 years, so many economists have written on the economics, like J.B. Say, Pigou, Alfred Marshall, Batista, Walras. So many economists have written on economics and theory of economics. Professor Gordon Ackley have written a book that is called Macroeconomics. In that book, he have written on a theory on the topic of employment and production. And this topic or this book is called the classical theory. So we will now, this is the classical theory of employment and production. In examination point of view, it's a very important theory. So many times in question paper, there is a question from this topic, classical theory of employment access. So in today's video, we will having a brief discussion on the basic pillar of the classical theory and assumption of the classical theory. In next video, we will discuss the full classical model. Some of the students are having the complaint that, sir, in your video you always talk in Hindi and we are unable to listen Hindi, especially because we are English medium students. That's why we separated both of the videos. Some of my videos are in Hindi medium and some of my videos are in English medium. So the first we should having the discussion what is the classical theory. The classical economists have the assumption that if there is a flexibility in the wage rate and if price level also have the flexibility, then there is a full employment in the economy. What the classical economics is saying, if wage rate have the flexibility, it means it can be up or it can be down, and the price level, prices also up and down. It means there is a flexibility in the wage rate and price level. So if the economy always in the full employment, it means the persons who are willing to having any employment, certainly he will get the employment. So the basic two pillars of the classical theory, we will discuss this basic pillars, two pillars of classical theory. Pillars of classical theory. First, Say's law, and second, Fisher's monetary theory. These are the two pillars of the classical theory. The first one is the Say's laws. Say's laws. What the Say's laws is saying? We are having a separate video on the Say's laws also. Say's law says there is nothing the possibility of the overproduction in economy, because supply creates its demand. When there is a production, due to the production, the income will generate, and there is income will generate and demand will also generate. So in economy, there is no chance of the overproduction. So what Say's law is saying, overproduction is not possible. Say if you are production of 1 lakh. If you are having the production of 1 lakh rupees anything items, then you have to distribute 1 lakh rupees in as a income, as a payment of raw material, as a payment of the transportation, as the payment of the tax, as the payment of the salary, as the payment of wage, so many times. So income will also generate to 1 lakh. So there is a new demand of 1 lakh, and 1 lakh's production is over there. So 1 lakh excess supply. So what Sailaj is saying? Sailaj is saying there is nothing, any possibility of the overproduction in economy, because supply creates its demand. For detailed study, you can watch the video, especially on the sales laws. Second one, the second pillar of the classical economy, that is Fisher's monetary theory. This theory says that the price level and the supply of money have the positive relationship. If supply of money will be double, then the price level also double. If the supply of money will 4 times multiplied by the 4 times, then the price level also multiplied with the 4 times. It means there is a direct and proportional relationship between the supply of money and price level. It means as the money supply will increase, then the price will also increase. If we double the money supply, then the price level also double. So the Fisher's monetary theory say that the determination of the price level totally depend on the supply of money, and there is a proportional relationship between the price level and the supply of money. It means if RBI will increase the supply of money, then the price level also increase. If the RBI decrease the supply of money, then the price level also decrease in the same proportional. It means if RBI double the supply of money, then the price level also will become the double. And second one thing, the value of money and the price level have supply of money have the negative relationship. It means as the money supply will increase, then the value of money will also decrease. We will later discuss in the different video in quantity theory of money. We will go through with the Fisher's theory of quantity theory of money and Cambridge version of the quantity theory of money. Today only we are discussing these are the two pillars of the classical theory. The first one is Say's laws and second one is Fisher monetary theory. Second one we are having the discussion, what is the assumptions of the classical theory. It's very important because if we are to understand the full classical model, the very first we have to know the main basics of the classical model and on which assumptions the classical model is based on. So that's why we are talking on this in this video. So assumptions of the classical theory. Assumptions of classical theory. Sometimes we are having the questions like this. Describe the total classical model with assumptions, equations and figures. So we have to know the assumptions. Sometimes they ask for the criticism of the classical model also. So later we will discuss on the criticism of the classical model also. So we will having the assumptions of the classical theory. First one assumptions we can having first one assumption. This will be full employment in economy. In classical economists, they have assumptions that if the wage rate is flexible, it means wage rate can be increased or wage rate can be decreased, then there is no problem of underemployment in economy. There will always full employment, because if sometimes if the demand of the labor is less than the supply of labor, then the wage rate will decrease and the demand for the labor will increase, and the labor who are willing to having work will get the employment. Sometimes the demand is less and the supply, if the demand is high and the supply is less of the labor, then the wage rate will increase. Due to the increase in wage rate, the demand for the labor will decrease and there will be full employment of the labor. So in classical theory, they thinks that in economy, the persons who are willingly unemployment will be having the unemployment. Otherwise, on the market wage rate, the person who want to do work will certainly get the work. So there will be no any cause of the unemployment in the economy, because there is a flexibility in the wage rate and the flexibility in the price level. Second one assumption, there is a free economy. It means the free economy. It means the government having nothing interference in economy. The government keep the free economic, and every person do work for his self interest, and the society's interest will also increase. Suppose a teacher is teaching more and more to earn more money, a doctor is caring more and more patient to earn more and more money, a industrialist is producing more and more production. But in this way, the total production of the economy will increase, the total health of the economy will increase, the education level of the economy will increase. So the classical economics have thought that if government is not doing any interference in economy, every person will work in his self-interest, and his self-interest will be positive for the society or economy interest. So the government should having least interference in economic activities, and there should be free economic. It means the government should not having any interference in economics. Third one, there is a flexibility in the wage rate and the price. Third one, flexibility in wage rate and price. Classical economists says the wage rate is flexible. It means sometimes the supply of the wage is higher than the demand for the, if sometimes the supply of the labor is higher than the demand for the labor, then the wage rate will decrease. Sometimes the demand for the labor is higher than the supply of labor, then wage rate will increase. And the every person who are willing to get the employment will certainly get employment. So there will be no chances of underemployment in economy. Second one, similarly the price is also have the flexibility. It means if supply of a commodity are more, then the price will decrease. If the supply of commodity is less, then the price will increase. If the demand for the commodity is high, then price will increase. If demand for the commodity is less, then price will decrease. Already we have discussed on this topic. So the classical economy said that there is a flexibility in the wage rate and this. Third one. Fourth one, overproduction is impossible. What classical economy is saying? In economy, there is a no chance of the overproduction, because its supply creates its own demand. Whenever a producer is producing some things, in any rupees production is over there, that production creates its own demand. So there is no possibility of the overproduction in economy. Already we have discussed on this topic. According to the Say's laws, the overproduction is impossible. Next one we are having the money do not interfere fear in economy. Classical economy said that money is like a wrapper in which we are bringing some samosa. We are eating the samosa, but we are not using that wrapper which used to pack that samosa. Similarly, the money itself doesn't do any economic activities. It is only for the help of the economic activities. So money is balance in economy. Money doesn't give any interference in economic activities, and we can say the money are in the equilibrium position in economy. It never increase the economic activities nor decrease the economic activities. It became only the free this one. Next one, that supply of money, capital formation, test, reference, etc. No change. Other assumptions on maybe things that in economy there is no change in the supply, no change in the stock of the capital, no change in technology of the production, no change in attitude of the persons, no change in taste and preference of the consumer. So these, it means other things remain same, which affects the macro level economy. All things which affect the whole economy will remain same. As in microeconomics we are having other things remain same, where in microeconomy that was related to the individual person, but in this macroeconomic model the other things remain same related to the whole economy, like supply of money, like capital formation, taste and preference, technological change, government policycal change, export import policy. These all the things remain same. Next one, monetary quantity theory of money. Next one, this in classical economy, they have having the assumption that the price level and the supply of money have the positive relation. If the supply of money will increase, then the price level also increase. If the supply of money will decrease, then the price level also decrease. So there is a positive and proportional relationship between the supply of money and the price level. Already we have discussed on the topic of the pillars of the classical theory. Next one, next we are having 8th assumption, Say's law. Apply. Already we have discussed Say's law. What the Say's laws is over there. Already we have discussed. Next one, there is closed economy. We are having 8th one. Economy is closed. Closed economy. Closed economy means that type of economy where there is no export and import. Every country produce the goods and services for itself. He never do any export or nor import it over there. Oh. Then 9th one, people do not stock their saving. This one, classical economists said, if person have the saving, he will deposit that saving in the bank, where he will earn interest. So no one person will keep money in the cash form of the saving at home. If he have the saving, he will deposit in finance, banking and finance institute. Next one, every producer will work for the profit maximization. This is also assumption of the classical theory, that a producer want to produce more and more to earn more and more profit, and he will do the profit such kind of the quantity where he can maximize his profit. It means he will not produce so more so that he have to sell that production at low price, and he will not produce so less with he can not having the profit which he can earn. It means he will produce the quantity of production where he will get maximize production. It means a producer do not want to maximize his price. He do not want to maximize his production. What he want? He want to always maximize his profit. Next one. So these are the main assumption of the classical theory. So in this video we have gone through what is the classical economist and when the classical economy was started, then who are the main classical economists and what are the pillars of the classical economic and on which assumption the classical theory was stand by. In next video we will having the discussion the full classical model, which is very important. You must go through that video. Thank you.